Okay, we just got this truck back from paint. Had a good paint correction done on it, and now I'm going to do a bench seat conversion. It's actually a 40-40-20 seat conversion, not really a full bench, from a 2014 F250. So these seats are fantastic. I mean, they're in very good condition, but I need a third row here, or a third seat in the middle for a road trip we're going to take. So we're going to remove these seats. We're going to mount 2 new captains, and then we're also going to mount a jump seat that folds down in the middle. Okay, we've got the old front seats out. We've got the new jump seat or center seat here mocked up. You'll see that it reuses the front bolts, the same ones that are going to go through your actual seat, but for the rear, we're going to have to do a little bit of work. Almost all these trucks have holes already in the frame or the body. You just have to cut the carpet. So you'll set this thing in place, kind of mark it with a Sharpie where this bolt hole is. Then you can move the seat out of the way and cut the carpet with a little razor blade, and you'll expose the hole there. The problem is, if you look inside that hole, there are no threads. So now that I've got this thing located, we're gonna get the tap and die out, and we're gonna tap threads into these little body mount or holes in the body on both sides. There's one here, there's one on the other side as well. So mark them with a Sharpie, pull the seat back out, and it's going to be, you can tap it with whatever you want, but we're going to stick with the same threads that are already being used for these different fasteners here, which is 1/2 half 13. So 1/2 inch bolt, 13 threads per inch. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to move this thing, we're going to take those bolts back out, tap those holes. I've got the jump seat moved forward, so you can see down inside here. A lot of times there'll be this white tape, this white like sticky tape over this hole. But here you can see there's an insert, just no threads. So we're going to go ahead and tap it out. This metal's meant to be tapped. It's pretty soft. You shouldn't have any problems. There's our new threads. Just grab you a bolt from the hardware store. I have a lot of hardware like this already laying around because we work on these trucks quite a bit. But there you go. So now we're going to repeat on the other side. Then we can move on to the captain's chairs. Okay, for the wiring part, this is going to vary for every vehicle, or more every seat that you get out. Your Excursion's probably going to be the same across the board. So what we've got to do, this plug is actually the same. You can cut this plug off and put your old female plug on, or on your male plug, you can just trim off one of these little tabs. You see it has 2 tabs, one here, and there was one here, and if you just lop that off, this will plug right in. But the wiring is a little bit different. So I've already removed this section here. I'm just going to get a pick and release these pins and just put them in the proper order. And then all we've got to do is just plug the seat in. And that's pretty much it. It is really beneficial if you have your old seats, the new seats, and of course good wiring in your truck. One thing you can do if you want to test, if you're not sure what the seat does, you can grab the male plug from the truck you pulled your new seats from. It's really not necessary though, because there's not that many wires. You can just trace them up and see what they go to. So you can trace these and obviously see that these 2 go to the seatbelt sensor, and these 2 are just power and ground provided. First they go to the switch, then they go to the motors. So I'm going to go ahead and depin and repin this circuit, and then we'll test it out in the truck. Okay, this is what it looks like when everything's depinned. We have the little grommet there and the plug itself, and we've got the safety keeper right there. So now we're just going to repin this thing in the proper order. So here you see on the 2014 F250 seat how I have it wired. Top right is the ground, gray and red is power, and then we have these 2 for the seat belt. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Got that tab cut off of our original harness, so it should work just fine. And it does. So to make this easier for installation, these back bolts need to be all the way back. So we'll go ahead and do that. That's pretty much it. So now we're going to move on to the passenger side. Alright, so on your passenger side seat, it's going to be a little bit different because the plugs are different than the older trucks here. So at least mine is, mine being a 2000. So I had to cut the female side of my passenger seat from my original seat. And I didn't want to mess up the wiring harness because I think I'm going to go back to my original seats eventually. But anyway, we only need 2 wires from the new one. As you can see on my seat, I only have 2 wires going in. We have all these extras. It's provisioning for different trims of trucks. All we have to worry about is power and ground on here. Power being this one, the gray with red. And then power and ground coming out of here. The seatbelt switch is going to be this one. And you don't really have to worry about this one. If I'm not mistaken, it's a grounding switch is the way that it works. So if we just leave it disconnected, then it should be fine. I think how this works is if you ground it, the seatbelt light comes on. So we're gonna give this a shot anyway. I'm gonna tape up these extra wires like this, and then we're gonna butt splice this in right here. I left it long enough to where I could cut this and put it back on my seat later on if I need to. All the wiring is done. We're putting all the seats back in now. I've got the center seat with the rearmost bolts bolted in. One problem you're gonna run into if you were doing this on a Ford Excursion instead of an F250 is the wiring harness for the CD player and the rear audio controls. So you can see I have plugged mine back in. I'm gonna bypass it later on. I don't even have the disc changer anyway, and that control unit has nothing to do with this touchscreen radio. The problem is it's an audio pass-through, so I'm gonna have to pull the pin out on it and figure out exactly how it's wired so I can delete it. But for now, we're just gonna tuck it up under that seat, and I'll worry about that later on. But yeah, gonna put these seats back in place. Well, that's pretty much it. Seats are installed with the center jump seat. Everything's wired in properly, and everything works just like it's supposed to. Seat belts and everything are in, and our power functions work. It's gonna be a little bit different depending on what truck you pull the seats from, what year. But this process is going to be pretty much the same for all of these older trucks converting to the 2011 to 16 seats. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.